Welcome to episode 5 of the Rest Days Community Podcast. That's right, there are now 5 episodes. I enjoy editing and listening to these episodes so much because each guest has such a fantastic, genuine story. Every week, I'm so excited to share another one with you. This week, I have to say, is especially honest and will resonate with many people. I will warn, there is some discussion of disordered eating and exercise addiction, if we have to put a label on it. So if these are issues that you're not ready to hear about today, maybe this one isn't for you. I should also mention this episode was recorded in my van in a car park, and so the audio isn't perfect, but I think you will agree our guest makes up for that. Okay, let me introduce the one and only Immy Sykes. Immy works for a community benefit society where she uses her master's in environmental sustainability. She's a writer of diverse content. She volunteers for her local run club. She climbs, she reads lots of books and tells other people about them. And very importantly, she really loves crisps. I would say ignore all that except the crisps, because through this episode we will find she has many things I didn't expect, and many things that caused her to question how she describes herself. Most importantly, she's honest, genuine, and has a beautiful story. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, Immy, welcome to the Rest Days podcast.
Hello, thank you.
I'm very excited to have you here. You were one of the people I thought of in my sort of first list of people, probably just because I thought you seem like you can chat well.
I mean, it is one of my skills. I can talk, and occasionally you will find out at the exact same time as I do about what's going to come out of my mouth, but it's an experience.
Oh, I understand that very well. This could be very interesting.
Whether it's coherent, I don't know. But let's find out.
Okay. So one of the things, I think I sent you a message at a specific point, maybe. You had posted something on Instagram about maybe you'd overdone it, or were you having recurrent problems with illness? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Really recurrent issues with illness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that.
So this has been ongoing, I think, for about 4 years. Okay, so this is my little potted medical history. I had been suffering about 4 years ago from just intense tiredness. And when I say tiredness, I don't mean like, you're just a bit shattered after the end of the day. I wasn't able to get through a working day. I was having to have a nap. Luckily, we'd kind of gone into COVID and the working from home situation, so my bed was readily available, but it was like 15 minutes in the afternoon, or I just physically wasn't able to continue with my day. And I had gone to see doctors repeatedly, and I think this is really interesting actually as a woman.
Yes.
Because I've always been reasonably small, or at least 4 years ago, I was really, really quite small in terms of weight. The doctors would just look at me and be like, you're really healthy. Maybe you just need to. Actually, I had one doctor who asked that I increase my exercise. Oh. They were like, maybe if you could get out more and do more exercise. And I was like, I'm already running, every day, sometimes twice a day. I'm going to the gym every day.
Oh, wow.
Lunchtime, I was doing walks. I was then doing walks after work. I was riding my bike pretty regularly. I was, doing a lot of weight training. I was really obsessively indulging in it.
Did they know about that volume?
No.
Or they just made an assumption?
They just made an assumption. They hadn't even asked that question. They were just like, maybe you could just get out and do a bit more exercise that'll help boost your energy levels. And the problem was at the time, with my mental state that I was in, that seemed reasonable. I was like, okay, well, fine, maybe I'm just not doing enough and I need to do more. And so, yeah, it just got worse. And I think I ended up going for kind of a private medical health thing, and it came back that my iron and B12 levels were particularly low, and I couldn't afford to go for private treatment, so I went back to my GP and they were like, it's not low at all, you're absolutely fine. And I was just really confused. And so this kind of tiredness got progressively worse and worse and worse until I eventually moved GPs. And, very long story short, I had a physio that was kind of helping me out with other injuries, because alongside this, I was having this exhaustive tiredness. I was ill all the time. At the end of last year, I was having colds. I think I had 3 colds over back to back. So I'd recover from one, and about 3 days later I'd catch another one, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And yeah, in the end, my physio was supporting me through some other injuries that again were also getting worse. And we he kind of advised about the best way to approach a new GP about what needed to happen. And luckily those tests went through, and it did turn out that my B12 and my iron levels were single digits. And they were like, oh, this is quite serious.
What on earth happened to the first one? That's so weird. What were they?
They just weren't really that interested.
Yeah.
I think
they just looked at you and saw, looks healthy.
Yeah. But then it goes back to that thing about equating slimness with health. I wasn't healthy at all. I was I barely ate. I was over exercising, and the thing is that I was constantly surrounded by people that would tell me I looked really good and you look great. You look so healthy. You know, look at how much exercise you're doing. You're so fit.
Yeah,
and it just really wasn't the truth at all.
Oh, it's so bad that the whole looks healthy thing. I really disagree with that. It frustrates me so much. As a person who I think has struggled with that on both sides, you know, and I know I make judgments even though I really, really don't want to, and I'm trying hard. I know I make judgments about people. I'm like, and you do it the same of they look fast or they look strong or whatever. But it doesn't mean anything. You don't know the story.
Our bodies are insanely complex. You know, how could you possibly look at another human being and be able to make a complete assumption, you know, a whole picture of their fitness, their health, like, you know, just from a glance? It's just an insane. Do you know what I found really useful for that was when I started doing park runs?
Oh, really?
And that was like, I'd kind of moved out of, you know, the Instagram world of the fitness influencers really looking a certain way. And then I was going to parkrun regularly, and our parkrun around here is pretty big. And it was just like these men and women of every single age and body type and running style and ability were just absolutely smashing it and overtaking me. Like I was just getting constantly overtaken. And I was like, this is incredible to see. You don't see that variety online at all.
No, you're so right. And massive shout out to parkrun as a thing. I think it's one of the best public health interventions we have.
I agree.
And obviously it had to come from somebody that wasn't the government, which is very sad. Yeah. Anybody who doesn't know what parkrun is, it's a 5-kilometer run that happens on the weekends. And basically everywhere in the UK and now a lot of places in the world have them. So I guess most people probably do know what it is. But it's great. It's very lovely. Very nice atmosphere. And I think you're right, though. There are a huge variety of people there.
Yeah.
And there are different, and the speeds of people do not correlate to how they look.
No. Which you just don't see online.
Yeah.
You got people with double buggies and all sorts just absolutely going up a hill without stopping. You just, oh my God, it's incredible. And yeah, I think to kind of see that variety and realise that like you cannot make an assumption based on someone's health, their fitness, their background. Yeah, that was sort of really eye-opening. And yeah.
As well as with your health being assumed, because you looked quite healthy, did you ever get it assumed that you were a really good athlete?
Yeah, all the time. I still get that now. I did a triathlon at the weekend, and people are always like, oh, I don't think I'd keep up with you. And I'm like, I was dead last in my wave in the swim. Even in the cycling, I'm not a particularly fast cyclist. Like, I did all right in the cycling, but, you know, I came out of my age group, I think, like maybe 12th out of 14. People assume that I'm like this. Yeah, they just look at me and they're like, oh yeah, she's going to be really fast. Absolutely not.
It's so funny because people do it the other way, obviously. I think I probably experienced it more the other way because I was always in running environments and I'm not a super slight person. I mean, I am slim, but, you know, I'm not elite runner slim, you know? So I always had the opposite. And I used to be jealous of the people who got assumed that they were fast because I wanted to look like I was fast. But it's bad both ways because you don't want the pressure either way.
No, I think just generally we need to be cleverer about how we're, you know, coming to people and I don't know, maybe just ask questions more, be more curious.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a thing rather than just sort of creating. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? It's a human thing to do, is just create these images in our heads of people. But it's interesting that you say, oh, you just really, really wanted to look fast, and yet you aligned that with slim. I'd also like to, I know that no one can see me right now. I'm not actually like super, super tiny. I'm a very normal, average, I think, sized person. And whatever that means to you, I'm actually really realising that using those words is incredibly loaded. But yeah, again, it's just how people react to you, and that often shapes how you perceive yourself and what kind of athlete you are, and how you do your little adventures.
It really does. So we came on a bit of a tangent there. We were talking about you being at the doctor's and you go on your GP and tell us where things went from there then. I think I have a feeling of where this is going.
Yeah. The results came back and I had a really severe vitamin deficiency, which I know it sounds really naive, but you often, I think social media, you get people selling you these vitamins. So in my head, I'd kind of assumed that having a vitamin deficiency wasn't a big deal. But they gave me this like little piece of paper that told me like why these vitamin deficiencies were so serious, because they had these symptoms. And I was looking down the list being like, I thought these were personality traits of mine. Like I thought this was just what it meant to be Immy, and it's not. This is like an actual
No way.
they like certain things to do with kind of confusion and just how like thinking patterns and kind of how you respond to sleep, and even down to
And you were just like, oh, that's just me.
that's just me, and it's not. It was a vitamin deficiency.
Oh. It's so easily done that, and that thought is I think a thought that sadly is more in this female brain type, or the reason this podcast exists is all linked in, because I speak to so many women with chronic diseases, and they I think are slower to get diagnosed because they come in and they're just like, well, I just thought that life was just hard for me, I was just unfit, I just wasn't, all these things, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why are we so hard on ourselves?
Right, well, like there is a quote, isn't there, that's like a woman's life is pain or something. It's something stupid like that. And sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm going to repeatedly go on tangents, but
Tim, go for it.
I also got a new physio last year when I was really going through these recurrent injuries, and my new physio was doing a lot of massage on certain areas, and he turned around to me and he said, you have a really, really high pain threshold. He was like, you are able to do that. And then he sort of sat and thought and then said, actually, most women that I treat have really high pain thresholds. It means that I can actually push it in the treatment a bit more. And in my head, I was a bit, can I just to clarify, I really liked this physio and I liked it. I like his approach. But there was something about that message in my head that's really messed with me for a while, because it's like, is it that women do have a higher pain threshold generally, or is it that we're taught to accept pain and just deal with it and get on with it? And actually, societally, then that it's like a sort of vicious circle that keeps going around.
Like we actually experience the pain, we just don't say anything about it until later on.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there is definitely some of that, because you are told to keep your problems a bit to yourself because you don't want to make a drama or be hysterical about it or whatever, because maybe the way that we would express it is a way that society doesn't want to hear about it in that way. And men definitely have their own things that they present late with medically, and they have their own hang-ups, but these things are definitely I've noticed in women. I wonder if the pain is the same, we're just our teeth are longer
through with it. We're not used to voicing it. It's like with like IUD insertions and stuff, when some people are really express really intense pain, and it's sort of societally like, just it's fine, like get on with it, this won't hurt, it's a little scratch, it's a pinch or whatever.
I have to say, as somebody who does procedures, I think there's you as the person doing it want to play it down, I think, for yourself, because I don't want to be inflicting pain on somebody, and I think that sometimes I think I play it down because I don't want to be inflicting pain on the person, so I'm like playing it down for myself. And that's taken me time to think about that. I think being a patient quite a lot has made me think about that, and I've realized that people do that. I think we do it always. We want to, even when I'm saying to somebody the chances of something, if it's more likely they'll recover or more likely something will go well, I am very quick to say, oh well, it's it's really likely, or play it up almost, because I don't want to feel bad.
That's super interesting. Do you know what? That's so ignorant of me that I've never considered it from that perspective at all.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe not everybody is like that. I'm one of those people who, apologizes just for existing, so that's probably
I agree. Yeah, same.
So maybe it's also that's tied into my personality. But I think there is a little bit of that like when you're inflicting a painful procedure, it's not very nice to think about the fact that you're going to be doing that, so you almost play it down for yourself, I think.
Yeah. I mean, well, okay, sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent, otherwise I'll stop. Like, I guess as a medical professional, like, you are probably in a position where you are constantly, you could be the source of pain for a huge number of people.
Oh, yeah.
As humans, as you say, that's not something that we naturally want to do. Like, we're tribal and we live in a society and we want to kind of have that harmony. So that disconnect. I mean, I had a friend who worked in A&E, and she said that she really had to learn to disassociate the human from patients, and that she then found that trickled into her relationships, that she really then struggled to kind of build up empathy in certain non-clinical environments.
Yeah.
Like, she talked about that quite extensively, and I'd never considered like what toll that could take on people.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? I think everybody will have different quirks and the ways of coping with things like that. I think I'm the opposite. I probably over empathize, but I think it makes specifically the types of work I do, like, it makes it better. But it means that in things like, what if I'm going to inflict pain or something could go wrong, I'm probably I know it's going to be rubbish for them, and then therefore I like protect myself in that way. It's weird. Yeah.
But super interesting. Meanwhile, my physio is just there like, oh, I'm just gonna do oh, you're sweating and like wanting to throw up, but that's fine, just stay still. Oh god.
Okay, so after physio talk,
This is it. To anyone listening to this, they're like, good god, can she finish her story? Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it came out basically, had the past, I'd say from 2025, this has been because all of that kind of came out at the end, maybe October time 2024. So we've kind of had this period of really trying to change a lot of things in my life. And I mean, like, my weight has changed massively. I broke my ankle in February, and I mean, we can get onto that if you want, but I would say that's one of the better things that has happened to me in a lot of ways, particularly for my relationship with my body and kind of rest and all of those sort of things. I've really changed my diet quite dramatically. That was one I've always really struggled with food and eating my whole life. It's not because I'm a picky eater. If you go back and look at the baby books, I think I remember reading it, and my mum had kind of put that, like, Imogen will only eat bourbon biscuits and peanut butter, and I generally think that has carried on through the rest of my life. Given a chance, bourbon biscuits and peanut butter probably would be my main diet.
That's interesting.
And so even from a young age, I've had a lot of food hang-ups. So, I follow Renee McGregor on Instagram, but I would struggle for many years even to watch her videos or her talking about food. I struggled with, there's a book that's come out fairly recently about processed foods, and a lot of people recommend it to me, and I just can't read it.
Yeah. I mean, that is ultra processed people.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
It is an incredible book. You definitely need to be prepared to read it. And if you have food hang-ups, don't read it.
Really interesting.
Because I see Renee McGregor actually has talked about this, that, if you demonize anything, anybody with a food hang-up could have a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's the book for everybody. It's a very interesting book if you're interested in health and food.
Yeah, okay. That actually makes me feel better about not reading it. I just don't think, I've got it out of the library about twice, and each time just not even opened it, and just really struggled. I think, so to be able to change my diet this year has been quite transformational. I'm learning to cook. I've never been able to cook. I just really tried. I mean, my kitchen was a storage unit for many years because I just, there's like a Sex and the City scene where like Carrie Bradshaw, I think, uses her oven to like store her shoes, and I think mine would have been used for books had I been given half a chance.
So how were you eating?
So I've been vegan for 10 years.
Okay.
And I've never actually admitted this, so like for this to be said publicly, I think I went vegan because it was a very convenient way of cutting food out, if I'm going to be honest.
I've met many vegans like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people listening who might resonate with that. It's a very easy way to, I don't think you're the only person.
Yeah.
There, definitely.
It was and it meant that I could have ethics and values, and it was, somehow commended, but it also meant I had to fight for it. And so for years but when I say vegan, like I was a junk food vegan. If I ate a vegetable a week, that was pretty impressive. So I was eating crisps and popcorn and bread and, and that's how I lived my life. And then I was over-exercising quite intensely. There is another part of this, which I won't really go into because it's my partner's story, not mine, but my partner has dietary issues himself, which meant at home, certain foods were genuinely off limits from a allergy and intolerance perspective.
But again, it's another legitimate restriction. So you can use it like that. And instead of fighting that or going around like eating your own things, you would just be like, oh, well, we can't eat that.
Exactly. We can't eat that. I'd go out for dinner and it'd be like, well, no, I can't even have that, even out for dinner. So yeah, so actually being able to learn to cook. And when I say I'm learning to cook, I've got one of those mindful chef boxes, like HelloFresh.
Right, yeah.
But that's so helpful because I think it takes the anxiety out of thinking about it. It provides me with like a really balanced, fresh fruit measure. I'm actually getting experimental now. Like I know that if I put carrot in sauces, it makes it sweeter.
Oh,
how great is that? I found that you can add nuts to pretty much anything and it tastes really nice.
Yeah, and they're great. Nuts are the best.
The nuts
so good
are
for you.
So good. Who knew? And like I had before this, I don't think other than peanut butter, which I would literally eat by the spoonful, I don't think I'd eaten a nut in like 10 years.
Wow. Which really should be like a staple of your diet if you're a vegan. So you were not doing veganism right.
I was not doing it right at all. No.
Are you still a vegan?
Yes and no. I try to not use those labels anymore. So I don't really eat meat, but occasionally, maybe I'll have tuna if that is something that comes up, and I just try not to put pressure on myself. So if there is milk in something, fine, I'll still eat it. And I try to eat eggs. I do have a real aversion to eggs. Like I don't know what it is.
You don't have to eat them.
No, exactly, but they are really good for you. Well, I don't know, maybe they're not.
No, they are. I think they are good. They are good. But there are lots of good things in the world, and you don't have to eat everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also stepping out of that vegan world like a number of years ago was really helpful because you get hemmed in by the identity of it all. I think the other thing that when you contacted me about this rest days thing was, and this podcast, I really wanted to talk about the identity of certain labels that I would become quite fixated on. And I think that is a big enemy for me sometimes, that I can get very attached to a specific label. And I think veganism was one of them.
Does it make you feel safe as well? Is there some safety in it?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think a lot of people, again, will understand that.
Yeah, I think, humans, again, are really community focused, right? And in the olden days, we probably would have been part of like one specific community that we would, very rarely have come out of contact, contact people from outside of that. And I think nowadays we can have so many different identities and we can shape and model ourselves any way we want, and the comfort of being attached to very, very static and strict labels is, I don't know, can become quite an obsession. I think that's why you see that tribal thing on the internet of certain people being very committed to one group and refusing to kind of criticize it and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a huge thing. I think the community is a whole massive topic that I love to talk about. But we'll get back to your main story.
Oh, cool.
So we're going back. You've seen the physio. You had nutritional deficiencies. Do you remember which ones?
Yeah, so low B12, iron, vitamin D. Everyone's deficient in vitamin D.
Yeah, okay. So lots.
I was ill, yeah.
Did they test your hormones?
No, they didn't, but that has been discussed to maybe do in the future. Mm-hmm. So what the doctor really wanted to do is try and see if we could correct some of the things. And actually, I would say that I've been feeling 1,000,000 times better.
Okay.
So much better. Like, I don't need to sleep in the afternoon anymore. I have a ton more energy. I'm a lot happier. Like, I think I was looking back, when you sort of put it side by side, I was really miserable.
It's so interesting that sometimes you can only see that afterwards. Mm-hmm. I find that so, like, I think I'm quite a self-aware person as people go, but I also have had long periods of being actually quite unhappy, and I didn't know until afterwards. Why is that?
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then it goes back to like looking at that list and being like, oh my god, I thought this was personality. Like, this is my personality. And I often joke, and I say, because I drink a lot of coffee, and I often joke and say that I wonder if I know who I am because I drink so much coffee. Is the coffee what makes me, or is it like, is there an underlying version of myself? And it sort of has been the same with like the vitamins. Like, at what point is the real Immy. But incidentally, I think it's made me more, like, my anxiety has dropped considerably. I've always, for as long as I remember, I've suffered from really bad anxiety. You know, I was 7 years old and suffering with intense panic attacks, and even now, like, sometimes I'll do kind of exercise till my heart rate goes above a certain threshold, and then I'll slip into a panic attack because my body just goes, oh, this is what we're doing. What to do here? And you know, I've always had a lot of anxiety, and just being able to correct some of these deficiencies, I've got a different outlook. My relationship with my work has changed. I really don't hate it anymore. I used to hate work. I'd be like, oh God.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm more tolerant. I'm not as, you know, quick to anger, or, you know, I can be more patient with people.
That's nice. Nice for everybody around you. Oh, that's super interesting. What did you mean with the coffee? Do you mean like you feel like you have high energy because you drink loads of coffee, and that high energy is a feature of your personality, or?
Yeah, and also just like a joie de vivre. Like, I really like an enjoyment of life, and you know, just like, you know, that just the first sip of coffee in the morning truly is one of life's greatest delights. I don't think there is anything that I do in my life that comes close to that feeling of just pouring the, you know, hot water in and just sipping. Oh God, I love it.
So funny, because multiple episodes we have now basically discussed our morning coffee.
Really?
So maybe everybody out there, guys out there, take some time for your morning coffees. Maybe it's a thing.
It's a thing, and also just, yeah, coffee addiction. I personally do not see a problem with it. Like,
How many cups of coffee do you have a day?
I am down to 3.
Okay.
So I think I'm doing quite well.
I think that's fine. Yeah. Do you sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
My sleep, again, from the vitamin deficiencies, like, my sleep has improved dramatically. You know, once I'm asleep, I'm asleep.
Do you know how much sleep your body likes?
Yeah, I can get away with not much sleep, to be honest. One thing I can't get away with is disturbed sleep. So
Enough.
I do, or I used to, I haven't done it because last year I was so unwell, but I was volunteering on the Spine Race, Montaigne's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For people who don't know, 260-mile foot race on the Pennines, one of the most brutal races. And I was working at a checkpoint, and sometimes they don't advertise this, but sometimes as working at a checkpoint, you can get about 7 hours of sleep across a whole weekend, because they are a bit better with it now and making sure that people are getting sleep. But for me, that's sort of fine. I can operate at that level, and that was sort of a superpower that I didn't realise about myself until doing it. But what I can't do is, like, if you say I can have, like, I don't know, 10 hours of sleep and then you're waking me up every couple of hours, then I can't operate at all.
Super interesting that. Okay, so 2 questions. Have you read Why We Sleep?
Yes, maybe.
It's Matt Walker is his name, maybe?
Does he talk about dreams as well? Oh no, I'm thinking of Why We Dream.
Okay.
Maybe no. Okay, no.
Okay, well, I don't know, it might be like the ultra processed food book.
Okay.
It might not be good for you. But you probably do need more sleep than you think, is all I'll say.
I mean, yeah, probably do.
But tell me, okay, so what do you reckon you get sleep-wise?
I get a good 8 hours a night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't really suffer with insomnia or anything like that. I have quite a good relationship with sleep, and yeah, I'm that is one thing that I'm pretty good at. Always have been, even again since I was a baby. In my baby book, it says, yeah, it's like sleeps well. You know, a lot of my achievements really came when I was as a small child.
Okay. So, but when you were deficient in vitamins and when your health wasn't good, you didn't sleep?
No, it made it really disturbed and difficult, and you'd kind of just wake up really not feeling refreshed at all.
Yes.
And then I'd like go to the gym, or I'd go out for a run, or I'd go on the bike, and you just feel this, like, just the tiredness that is so tired that you then can't sleep.
Yeah. Oh, I know
You'd
that.
start doing more to try and wear yourself out, and then you'd be like, oh my God, it's a perpetual cycle.
It is indeed. Yeah. Do you think that there's a little bit of a confounder here as well, though, that you had also, as well as having the deficiencies, you'd run yourself into the ground a little bit. So when you found out about the deficiencies, you looked after yourself a bit better, which also helped with that. Is that there too, do you think?
Yeah, I knew I had to change because I just couldn't live the way I was living anymore. It was getting to the point where it was affecting my job and my relationships, and I'd been to see therapists because I was so miserable all the time, and then I realized that I wasn't miserable, I was just unwell. And then I mean, I'm going to be honest, as I said earlier, I broke my ankle in January, and looking back on it, do I think that I would have fallen into bad patterns again if, as my energy improved, would I have just gone back to the way I was?
So easily done.
Yeah, whereas with an ankle break, I just couldn't do anything. I had to completely change my life, and that sounds so dramatic. It was just an ankle break, but
no, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing, I think. Especially, I think you can't. Well, for one, the same thing, if we can't assume what it would affect anybody's life, because everybody's life is different, but for anybody who does a lot of activity and that is central to their physical and mental health and coping mechanisms and how they keep themselves together, then there's a huge thing.
Yeah, it completely transformed that. I mean, going back to the coffee thing, I couldn't even I could make the cup of coffee, but then I couldn't take it through to the living room, which is where I like to have my first sip. It was so sad.
Yeah, see, so it was big. Okay, so tell me about the journey since you broke your ankle.
Yeah, this is my favourite topic, so I apologise to anyone who's this 7 million times. It's like, oh, she's going on about the ankle again. So I was out running with my run club, and I basically hit a pothole. In January, February, we'd had a period of a ton of ice. So these were roads that I knew super well and ran on all the time, and just literally overnight a pothole had opened up. So that hadn't been there the previous day, and then it was, and basically my ankle went one way and my body went the other, and I did feel that popping sensation. It ended, I actually walked around for a few days refusing to go to hospital. I was just like, it's not a big deal, and eventually my friend Becca, if you're listening, hello, she sent me a marginally aggressive voice note that basically told me that if I did not go to the hospital, she was going to drive down from Newcastle and take me herself. Which
and you wouldn't have wanted to inconvenience
I would not have wanted to inconvenience her, because I believe she would have done this. So yeah, I went to the hospital, and again it was funny because they were just like, yeah, it's fine, it's a little break. It was a bone chip, so the bone chip was fine, that heals really quickly.
Yeah,
it isn't really treated as anything more than a sprain. So I wasn't given a boot, I wasn't even given crutches, I had to go and buy my own crutches. It wasn't strapped up.
Wow, that's quite wild.
NHS is on its knees.
Yeah.
They just sort of, I couldn't really walk, so they just put me in a taxi and was like, goodbye. I was like, but the big thing really was the ligament damage, which it was a full rupture. And that was what that popping sensation was. And anyone that has had ligament damage will know how long it takes to build your ligaments and your muscles back up.
Especially in an ankle.
And it was, it was initially 6 weeks of absolutely no weight bearing at all, which, can I tell you, the first time I put a tiny bit of weight on my foot, it was almost as good as that first sip of coffee. That rushing feeling through my body of just because I suppose you've got lots of valves in your feet that help the blood circulation or something, and because I instantly felt like all of my leg came alive, and
to be fair, I mean, I guess that would have you would get better blood flow from using it, so that's so
nice.
I think a little bit of that is in your head though.
That's such a doctor response. It's in your head.
Most things are in your head.
It doesn't mean that they're not real, right?
I know, let's say that.
So putting it down was absolutely phenomenal. I just decided then and there that I was already on this journey with my health, and I was like, right, let's just tie it in. And I mean, historically, so another tangent, because of, I assume, the vitamin deficiencies, I've suffered with chronic shin splints for over 10 years. And these are, I mean, anybody that says a shin splint is a minor thing is it's so painful, to the point where walking down the stairs can be really, really painful. So historically, when I'd get these injuries, I would just have an absolute meltdown. I have memories of kind of lay on my living room floor just sobbing because I couldn't go for a run, and my partner being like, oh, she's doing this again. Just sort of walking back out of the room. He's like, as me being like, oh, this is the end. But luckily, I hired a coach back at the beginning of 2024 to kind of help me, because I realised this was sort of before my diagnosis, but I started to realise that my interpretation of my body perhaps wasn't that useful. Like
That's a good way to phrase it.
Yeah.
I like that.
And she was really helpful in being able to, is this reality, is this not? And being the one to tell me to back off, or then actually I think you might be able to increase. And so we just worked together really heavily at this point, and I just kind of thought to myself, this experience of rehabbing my ankle back is going to be the most positive experience, and it has. And I've learned a ton about what my body can do, and actually the process of building your muscles up and really trying to, I wanted to come back a different person from this and have a different relationship. And I think I have, because I used to go and work out every single day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes even 3 times a day, because I was anxious, because I was miserable, because I felt this compulsion to do it. I don't think that's an unusual thing. I think a lot of people will have experienced that, particularly if they are in that world. And I just didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a workout because I feel I need to.
Yes. Yeah.
And so this process was really about that, was how can I make sure that every single time I'm, going to the gym, it's for the right reasons. It's either because I actually really do want to move my body and I'm not punishing it, or it's about how do we strengthen up that ankle? How do we make ourselves stronger? And interestingly, it's really changed my body. And actually, as that process has gone on, my body shape has changed. So I'm not as slight anymore. A lot of my clothes don't fit. Maybe I'm putting weight on, which previously would have been really problematic. I controlled everything in my life. I used to pride myself on the fact that I could still fit into clothes that I wore when I was 12. I'm in my 30s. So all of that has, over the past few months, really changed. And
Do you weigh yourself?
no,
Good.
no, we haven't had scales in our house for a very long time.
Yeah, it's good just to not know.
Don't need to know. I don't have tape measure either. Things like that. It's not for somebody that is just so controlling of everything in her life and just can't have it. Just not a great thing.
Yeah.
And so seeing my body expand and change shape, and actually I look in the mirror now and I don't really recognize a lot of what because I take the vitamins now. I can put muscle on.
Yes.
Which
So
I
now
couldn't
you're
do
actually.
before.
I bet you're way stronger.
Oh yeah, this is the other thing. So for years, my physio for shin splints has been saying you need to be lifting heavy, and I was like, I am lifting heavy. I'm doing 20 kilograms. And then when I got my coach, she was like, no. When we're talking lifting heavy, we mean really heavy. We mean more than your body weight. We mean and so my deadlifts are way above what I used to be able to do even before I broke my ankle. Me and my partner now go to the gym together, which actually has been really nice. He's never been into fitnessy stuff, but this has been quite nice. And now we have bench press competitions.
That's fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that
who's
in it? Oh, okay.
I
was really hoping you were gonna say.
I was winning for so long. And then this
Well, he
weekend,
got into it.
yeah, he's just surpassed I think he's up to 36 kilograms, which is amazing actually, because again, he's not been into these. But then again, it's just. But then on deadlifts, I'm beating the hell out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's never going to catch up with that.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. It's going to be a journey. It won't be straightforward. It won't just be, I'll never have any more hang-ups.
Oh God.
And I think the part where things often get most interesting is you're saying, I'm going to go do exercise because I really want to do it. But sometimes you don't want to do it, but it is still the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's really hard. I find those days the hardest. It's pissing it down with rain, but actually this is your only evening to get a run in. And if you don't go today, then you'll feel a bit rubbish. And actually you will be really glad you went.
Yeah.
But I find those ones the hardest because I'm in my head, I'm like, well, no, you said you would only do it when you want to do it. Well, you don't want to do it right now, but if you do,
Exactly.
it's like this weird battle. Or if you want to train for something, because having goals and training for things or doing events, it can be really healthy and enjoyable and lovely thing to do if you don't let it get obsessive. But then you do have to put in some amount of effort, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So, those can be the really hard times, I think. I mean, when you were training for this triathlon, did you have any times where it started to creep up on you and you thought, I need to do this for the triathlon? Or were you able to keep it?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't train for the triathlon.
Well, there we go.
At all. It also might be why I came dead last in my swimming. The thing with the triathlon was I signed up for the triathlon and then 2 days later broke my ankle. So, and then I just was very financially committed to the £80 that I'd spent on the entry fee. So two things to answer your question. Firstly, I think that was one of the reasons why I got a coach. I've always been a bit skeptical of people with coaches before. Well, not skeptical of people, but for me, I was kind of like, if you're not looking to win a race, why would you have one?
Yeah.
And actually, she's so useful, being able to look at, the sessions that I've done before, talk, I can just text her whenever I want. We have that kind of relationship. And on those days where if I've got something in mind that I want to do, she can help me like, how are you feeling? And really help me process those thoughts. So that's just super helpful.
That's so good to have somebody to objectively bounce off.
Yeah. And then you feel like you've made that decision collectively rather than it just being all on you. And I think that's super helpful. In terms of the triathlon, like the big thing to kind of more answer your question was around my swimming. So I really only learned to swim in June last year. I could not drown, but actually being able to swim properly, doing front crawl, actually get from one side of the pool to the other and back again wasn't a thing. My family didn't really, my mum was always really scared of swimming and my dad can't swim. So it just wasn't a thing in our household. I've always been quite ashamed of that, although I would like to say that something like a third of British adults can't swim.
Oh yeah, loads of people can. Yeah. It is very hard and impressive to learn as an adult.
Yeah. So
you should be super proud of it. If there's anybody out there, if Immy can do it, maybe you can do it too.
I also have swim patches that I get.
So I've seen those. I kind of disappointed that I know how to swim. Feels like
a few people say like, damn it. But yeah, it was really like learning how to swim, and I knew that the bike side would be fine. And prior to breaking my ankle, I knew I could run. And the thing is, I'm not massively competitive, which is weird because you'd think from maybe some of the stuff that I'd say that I am a competitive person, but I'm not.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I wrote down before coming to see you. Is I was like, I don't understand you, but I think maybe it's, are you really competitive with yourself, or like you have something to prove in life? You seem like you just work so hard.
I think do you know what I think it is? I like routine and I like commitment, and I think it's more that, like, I'm not even competitive really with myself. I don't know, it's a weird thing. Like, you're saying about having goals. I don't really have many goals, even in my broader life. There's things I'd like to do, but I don't see them necessarily as goals. And yeah, I honestly, do you know what? I have done so many events over the years, and I'll often come last or second to last, and I don't care. I just really love the environment. I like people. Even at parkrun, I like it when people overtake me towards the end of the line, because I'm like, oh yeah, look at them go. Like, they just pip me to the post. Isn't that great for them?
You're so wholesome.
I feel like that's not wholesome though. There's probably something in that I don't know if you psychoanalyze.
I think maybe though that this, what now you have been on this journey. If you combine that with your non-competitiveness, I think you will be able to have a beautifully healthy relationship with sport. Maybe
I hope so.
Yeah. I think sometimes a hang up, if you're really competitive, that can be a problem where that causes things to get dodgy again.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe you will have that. And if you're really genuine, I mean, every single person at an event is needed, because somebody has to come last, and if you don't have a pack, it's not fun. There's no people there, it's not fun.
Yeah. So
I always tell people who are nervous about doing stuff but I love that you have that attitude. I think that's amazing.
I wish I was more competitive. I wish I did. There is an element of me that wishes that I had that motivation, but I just don't care.
You are. I think it's kind of funny. I think that's it. I've heard you say something like that maybe on Instagram before, and I was like, what are you talking about? You're obviously insanely motivated. You are just not motivated by that.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter. Like, you work really hard. You do extra work on the side of your actual full-time job, probably more than a full-time. Yeah. And then you were telling me you exercised 2 to 3 times a day, and you're like, I'm not that motivated.
Yeah, that's such a woman answer, isn't it?
How can you be not motivated and exercise 3 times a day?
I think, yeah, as you say, it's motivated by different things, isn't it? But I'm still not sure what that is. There is a memory that I had when I was in university where I went to a really small university. I went to the University of Exeter, but on the Falmouth campus. So there was 30 others in our year.
Oh, wow.
Then there were other courses, but we were just such a small course. And I became super obsessed with wanting to be in all of the yearbook photos. I joined so many clubs that I just had no actual real interest in. I remember, I'm not religious, and I remember going to a Christian club. They had really good snacks and they were really nice people, and I just wanted to
Please
be there.
don't be offended if you're listening.
Yeah, no, because they were all really wonderful people and I absolutely loved it. I just am not religious, but I just liked the atmosphere. I was like, I just really wanted to be there. And I think that that's a lot of my motivation, even at work. I really just like being part of things. My run club is Hellsby Running Club, and, I honestly don't really have time to do the volunteering and the membership stuff that I do as part of that club, but I just really like being part of it. I like being involved, and I think that's why I enjoy doing events. It's why I like being part of communities, and I think it's that motivates me. I just really want to be involved in stuff.
But also, before we recorded this, you also said that you're a bit nervous about going to new group things.
Oh my God, you're right.
You're a very contrary person.
That is true. I don't actually know how that fits into my psyche, to be honest, because I agree.
Because you love community and you love being a part of it, but maybe do you have to already feel comfortable in that community? No, because then all these new ones at university, you just start trying to donate their snacks.
Yeah.
So you're not...
and they'll talk to anybody.
And maybe that's how it was. So what's going on there? Is it certain communities? Is it sports? Well, no, the run club is a sporting one, but were they just really nice to you?
It took me 6 years to join them.
Okay, so there was hesitation.
Yeah, I've lived here for a number of years, and it took me probably about 6 years to even join them. I'd drive home from work and I'd see them and I'd be like, oh, they're all in matching tops. I really want a matching top, but I'm too scared to join. I think, okay, so maybe to scratch what we said earlier, I do feel very nervous about joining new clubs, and I do have to psych myself up. But once I'm in it, I really commit to it.
Yeah,
and I think that's the same with my work.
Yeah,
it's everything I do, I really want to be committed to it.
Yeah,
and I think it's that.
Okay. What about, because you do, obviously you have your main job, and that sounds pretty full on.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do.
So I work for a community benefit society based in Manchester, and we essentially help people decarbonise their homes as a form of climate activism. So I'm the operations lead. I joined a number of years ago before the company had actually incorporated. So I turned up and I'd just left a very, very well-paid job. I took about a 20 grand pay cut to come and work at this place that wasn't even a business, and I didn't get a contract for a couple of months, and I was like, what the hell have I done?
Because you were more passionate about this one, though.
Yeah, I think there was a mix. My previous job, I'd basically fallen out with the CEO, and there was a big thing around that, and I just couldn't work there anymore, I think. And my master's was in environmental sustainability, and I had really wanted to go into that line of work.
Okay.
And they'd advertised for a training manager, and I kind of, at the company I'm at now, they were a project and they wanted to become a bigger organisation or an independent organisation, rather than being a grant-funded project. And so they did advertise for this training manager. I'd gone to it, and then they were like, you were not the right fit for that, but actually we think we'll create a role. And so I kind of went into it. So my job for the past few years has been kind of helping set up that organisation, running it. Whether I do a good job, I don't know. I often feel like I'm not.
I'm sure you do a very good job.
But so when I joined, there was sort of maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 of us, can't remember off the top of my head now, and now we're about 13 and we're hiring more, and I don't know, it fluctuates. So that's the work that I've been doing. So it's an interesting role because it's a community benefit organisation. So there are no shareholders, nobody's making, a huge amounts of money out of this. We're not getting paid a lot to work there. But then I feel a real sense of duty to it as a consequence.
Yes, which is good. It's a really lovely, I think, to come home from work and feel like your job, you're needed to do your job and that there's a purpose in it and everything. But it also means you can give a lot to it when sometimes it's detrimental to yourself.
Yeah. I think I've got better at that now. definitely have more boundaries in place. For instance, I'm sat here with you at lunchtime.
Yes.
Like, I could have very easily have not wanted to do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you could have. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
You need to remember that. In the past, maybe I wouldn't have done that because I would have been really chained to my desk and been like, if I'm not here, then, something's going to blow up in my face.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not the case.
No, the world doesn't explode if you relax for a second.
Yeah,
It's quite wild.
Yeah.
Actually.
Who knew?
But the thing that I'm most interested in, and I know I'm a massive hypocrite when I say this, but why do you do other work?
Oh my God, a good question. Why do I do other work? So, for context, the other work that I do, I have a freelance writing company. So, I mean, when I say company, it's just me, but sounds like there's more than one person.
I think you should continue to say Sam.
Company.
It does
I
sound
love
like
to-
that. The company, yeah, it sounds like there's a few people that, yeah.
So I do stuff with that. So writing reviews, and recently did an article on saddle sores, which was a great commission.
And everybody loved it. I've shared it to everybody I know. It's fantastic.
It was great. It was a really good thing to do. And then what else do I do? Yeah, obviously volunteering stuff that I do on the side and bits and pieces. I also have an idea of something that I would like to go into that's around the saddle conversation.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, there's been a saddle library in London for a really long time. I had one in the north. But again, I just don't have. I feel like I would know how to set it up, but I just don't have time at the moment.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason why I do those other things, I guess, is creativity, community, like being involved. It stops the demons in my head.
If you sit still for 1 second,
No, I don't do that.
because of the demons in your head.
They're nicer demons these days, but I do just, I don't know. Even when there isn't voices in my head telling me that I'm a useless, worthless human being for sitting down, I also just really enjoy being busy. Like, it's an actual enjoyment thing.
Okay. Now I think we're really hitting the nitty gritty of this podcast. Okay. So, if you never sit still, how are you ever resting?
Because, well, no, I mean, yeah.
I'm really excited to see what you come up with.
I mean, like, I do sit still. Like, I'll sit on the sofa occasionally.
And are you working when you do that?
Usually.
Because that doesn't count.
I think the rest days for me tend to be the time I spend with my partner.
Okay, good. So
Um,
there's somebody protective in your life.
Yeah.
You have to spend time
I
with them.
do have to spend time.
Otherwise your relationship won't last much longer.
Exactly. Yeah. And he also has a very different pace of life to me completely. He did one job for starters. Quite a stressful job, but he is very committed to resting and he's quite good at it. So he often, I mean, a couple of years ago I definitely wasn't, and I'd say my relationship in some ways probably would have ended up suffering if I, as you say, like if I'd have just carried on doing all the time, always being busy. And then, to be fair, he was kind of like, why don't we have a protected day
That's great
to help out with that? And so we started off like really Saturday is my protected day. That took some getting used to, because do you know how many sporting events happen on a Saturday?
Sporting events on the
So I have to I can't do any of those anymore.
Oh, so you now, that's how protected it is?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I won't
really
do it.
cool.
And if there is something that needs to happen on a Saturday, me and my partner make a decision together about whether or not I should do it.
Or could you make it a thing that you both do or something, or is he not interested in ever having to watch you do things? Or doesn't want it? He's not. You're not.
We're very different in that respect, which is really good actually.
Yeah.
That is a helpful balance to have.
Do you know one thing that's really come out, I think, from doing this, and the more I talk about it with people, is that most people have protective people. We can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
We have to be stopped by people. You had your friend from Newcastle threatening to come down if you didn't go to A&E. I don't know why we're like that, but that's interesting. And I think you're really lucky it's your partner, because that's also somebody who you do have to spend time with if you want a good relationship. And somebody you presumably enjoy spending time with.
I really enjoy spending time with them.
Yeah, so that's good. Okay, so what kind of things do you do when you're hanging out? Do you do it just completely different from any of your other stuff, is it?
Totally different. We weirdly tend to do the same thing every Saturday. And I like
It's quite nice.
I like the routine because I have to make decisions so much in my my life, everything, like all the time. If there is something that I can just not make a decision about, that is great. So we will do pretty much the same thing every Saturday. We go to the same cafes, we walk the same routes together. It's truly, again, it's like that first sip of coffee. It's one of my most loved things. I enjoy it more so than doing events or like going out and doing exercise and things like that. I just like those kind of things.
But at first, did it take a bit of getting used to?
I felt like I was really missing out on this stuff. My friends would be inviting me out for rides on a Saturday and, you know, oh, come over here, let's do this, or let's go and do this event. I really felt like I was saying no too many times. And then eventually you settle into a routine. And I really, really enjoy that time.
That is so good. Okay, you know what? I didn't know that was the answer I was going to get, but how great was that answer? Because, you know, I thought you were just going to be like, yeah, no, I never rest. And I was like, at the end of the podcast that then. But instead, you told me this beautiful story about your Saturdays, that they're so valuable.
Yeah, they are.
That is so nice. And I bet it sounds like it's pretty good physical rest.
Yeah.
And mental rest.
Yeah.
And you don't have to think about anything because you're going to do mostly the same things. It's just so lovely. I mean, mentally, you're also getting a rest when you're exercising. And that's why you relied on exercise so much before, because mentally it was really good for you.
Yeah.
But it just got a little bit excessive. It became too much of a crutch, I guess.
It became too much of a crutch. But weirdly, although you say it gave me a mental rest, I think different sports did different things. So running, definitely, like my brain would switch off, and I have very distinct memories of running on a treadmill, weirdly, and then the treadmill stopping because I'd been on it for an hour, and not because at our gym they just stop after an hour.
Oh, okay.
Not realizing I'd done an hour, and then being really disorientated about where I was for a second.
You should enter that thing where you run on a treadmill for as long as
I think I
possible.
probably could do it.
I think you should do that because you'd have it. Nobody else in the world has ever said what you just.
Really? They have a nurse doing an hour on the treadmill.
I did 2 minutes and I'm like, it must have been 3 hours already.
I haven't been on, like, I don't know whether I could do that now, but yeah, it used to be like that. Like running was just silence. It was the only time my brain went silent. When I would cycle, it was very different. I would be problem solving all the time. And I often say that I feel like it's the feeling of the pedals that help. And also I think on a bike, you do have to be more alert than if you're on a treadmill where you've got no stimulus.
Though you're alert, but you're distracted from your problems.
Yeah.
Because you're focusing on like, oh no, there's a pothole, or there's a car trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Those things.
These classic things. Yeah. All the ways that you can die whilst on
Yeah, basically. So it's a different, it's still a mental break.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Yeah. And then swimming, I was just trying not to drown. Climbing, I was also trying not to die. So you don't have any room for any fear of anything else.
Okay, this is really good. We've got something really nice here, I think.
Do I come across well adjusted?
Yeah, I'm quite impressed, to be honest. I think you're at a really nice point in your journey, don't you think? It'd be interesting to see how sustainable, like whether things slip. I really, really hope they don't. But you know, it's not a linear journey. No. It goes up and down.
It goes up and down, and maybe it'll slip in a different direction, and it'll look different. And you know, I'm open to that. I think in a way that I wasn't maybe last year, where I was very like everything had to be ordered. I miss workouts all the time now. I'm just like, I don't want to go to the gym, and it's fine.
And it is fine.
It literally is fine.
You are not dead.
I am not dead.
Nothing blew up.
No.
Nobody else died. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and I still have friends. People still like me.
You know, it's wild.
That's insane.
And did you know, like, it's not your identity?
Yeah, but that did take a long time, actually. Really trying to figure out what that was. I remember when I first broke my ankle, my coach was like, do you have any other hobbies that aren't sport related? And I was like, no. She's like
birds.
But like
do you like reading?
I do. I really do love reading. But there is only so much book that you can book when you no choice but to.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. So one of the things before we started I really wanted to talk about was books, but I don't think we're going to get onto that because we've done, and I think there's so much more even here to talk about. So I'm thinking maybe there's going to be an Immy episode in season 2. We'll have to see whether that comes to anything. But I think it would be really interesting to have a proper talk through some books out there, the positive and negative things they've done for people with our brain type, but also people, just women who need to rest.
Yeah.
It's just all of us.
Could I do a shout out for two?
You can, please do.
Two. Oh, limiting them down to two. First one that I would like to say is Naomi Klein's Doppelganger. And I know that sounds like, from what you've just said about the topic, about rest, it doesn't seem to make complete sense about why those two things would be linked. But Naomi Klein's Doppelganger, for anyone who hasn't read it, is a non-fiction discussion of Naomi Klein, who is a journalist. She gets confused with Naomi Wolf, who is an alt-right extremist Jewish writer, and for years she kept being confused and her reputation was completely tarnished, and so she wrote a book called Doppelganger about the doppelganging that happens in society. And the reason I think it's relevant to this conversation is that one of the big things that she talks about is that how in society we've become brands as individuals, and we miss out on experiences and ways of living and communication and experiences of other people and other things because we're too committed to the brand. And I think this goes back to a little bit about what I was saying about identity and labels, and I do see that as a real big thing. It's sort of tangentially linked, I suppose, to the idea of rest, but all of this folds into like our understanding of experience and how we live in society. And I really liked her way of writing and talking about that. It was a really big transformational shift for me.
I am really excited that you've brought that up, because I think that this topic relates to everything, basically.
Yeah, it does.
And so I'm glad that you didn't just pick a book that was just like, here's how you exercise, here's how you rest, here's how you sleep, or what, something like that. So
yeah, because it weaves into absolutely everything, and it's a really important topic. And I feel like not enough of my friends have read it. So if you haven't, and I've told you about
I haven't, so I've written it down.
There we go.
I'll read it.
This is a threat.
I'll get it. I have an 8-hour drive after this, so I'll just get it on Audible.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, it was really good. And then the second book is by Ruth Allen, called Weathering. And I've met Ruth. I've done a writing course with her. I've interviewed her for Kendal Mountain Festival, and so I really like her. She's a psychotherapist who works specifically with the outdoors.
Does she live in the Peak District?
She does.
I know who she is.
Yeah. So her therapy is really about like, how do you utilize the outdoors in therapy, but not in a exercise way, in a actually how do you process your feelings. And she wrote Weathering, which actually is more about grief, to be honest, and processing grief. But it's just a piece, but I think grief actually comes into rest, and particularly in injury rehabilitation. Like, grief is a big part of that,
a huge part, and the identity thing, because you grieve the loss of identity. Yeah, it's huge. I 100% agree.
Yeah. And so that book is really incredible. It's one of those ones where you don't need to read it all in one go. I have read each of the chapters and then gone back and highlighted bits, and I've got sticky notes everywhere, and it's just such a well written book. So those are my two shout outs.
I really like the second one too, because I think I'm a huge advocate for the outdoors as a treatment for physical and mental health. And I don't think that we've focused a lot about here maybe over exercising, overdoing things, but I really think that you don't even need to really exercise in the outdoors for it to be therapeutic. It's amazing. It's just the best. It's so good for everybody. So I buy into that massively. And I think that you give an impression from afar that you use the outdoors not just for that. To be honest, it's kind of interesting. I didn't know this conversation would go exactly how it went, and I love that. I'm so happy that that's how it is. I feel like I've learned so much about you. I thought, when you said you were exercising like 2-3 times a day, I was quite interested by that, because I don't think I'd have guessed that from the outside. Because obviously you're presenting what you want to present to the world. Because you present yourself as somebody, you suggest that you're maybe not that fit. If you exercise 3 times a day, you're really fit.
No, I'm telling you. No, you can exercise that many times and not be.
No, but you could be not fast, but I bet you're fit. I bet you can just keep going all day. Probably, you've got incredible endurance.
I think I do have a bit of endurance. Yeah, I mean, maybe endurance.
That's a type of fitness.
Yeah,
but I thought that you just loved the outdoors and just spent time enjoying the outdoors was the impression, and I didn't assume that's what you'd actually be like, because I know the internet is not real. But you do also have a passion for the outdoors in a slower way.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like, those two facets of my personality, like, although they sound quite contradictory, actually worked in harmony and have done for many years. Although in saying that perception that my of kind of enjoying the outdoors for the outdoors' sake really has only been maybe in the last 18 months to 12.
Okay,
So if you go back on, please nobody do this because it's terribly boring, but you probably would see a lot of you probably would pick up on those themes that actually she's not quite, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't, because as you say, like, hid a lot of this, because
Yeah.
it is, I find it quite shameful to feel like that. But another contradiction of my personality is I actually find the outdoors really, really scary.
Yeah.
I've had to work up to learn how. I don't come from an outdoorsy family.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't. My dad went on his first camping trip, and I was one that took him. I have never had this knowledge passed down to me. Nobody in my family knew about any of it,
Yeah.
and so I found it quite a threatening. I can find it a quite threatening place, and I'm not one of these people that likes to get lost. I really like my local trails. You know, COVID really taught me that. I've really learned where we are now. I just explored all of it and I absolutely loved it. But, you know, going out to the mountains of Scotland and getting lost and having no phone signal absolutely scares the crap out of me.
It's fair enough.
Yeah, like it's just not me, and that isn't something. But yeah, I do enjoy just being outside, and I actually think that that's the facet of my personality that's the nicer side and the better side, and that's the bit that I can do when I am well.
Is that also the bit that why you present that you're proud of that part of you? So
Yeah.
that's why you present that side of you to the world. That's what you want everybody to see.
Yeah, because I do.
You should be proud of that
Yeah.
part of you. It's great.
I would like to add that I don't go to the gym 3 times a day anymore. It's more like 3 times a week now, which I think is much
So healthy.
yeah, it's much better.
Love.
But yeah, it's not like that anymore. Yeah. So please don't go to the gym 3 times a day.
Tell us a quick thing about birds as well. I just really need to know, why are you interested in birds?
I got into birds through COVID through my friend Abby, who runs Bikes and Bird Hides, which is on Instagram, and she also does great trips. And I fell in love with her as a person. Like, she is just such a wonderful human being, and she was really interested in birds. And I didn't know anything. I knew blackbirds and robins and maybe a seagull. Seagulls don't exist, by the way.
What?
Yeah, they're just gulls.
What?
Yeah, seagulls aren't a thing. So learned all of these things. And I think what I liked so much about her, so I'd go out on rides with her and she was able to see the landscape in a very different way. So she was able to, she knew where to, she'd hear a sound and she'd know where to look. And she would look in different places that I wasn't looking in. And the birds were kind of like guiding, the birds were guiding her into that. But she was able to read the landscape in different ways. She'd understand different habitats. And again, not coming from an outdoorsy family, I had nobody to pass that knowledge on. So really, honestly, it came from her, and I have just sort of honestly just skimmed the wave that she created. Like, you know, I really love birds now as a consequence, but because of those experiences and being able to read the landscape in that way through their existence.
So I think that's such a beautiful thing to be able to appreciate, because once you were able to get outside with your ankle, that's something you can still appreciate, and that's something that's slower and it doesn't have a goal. Well, not that you're, you know, I know you're not goal or a super goal oriented, but you know, it doesn't have to get anywhere. It seems very nice, though I'm just not sure that birds are my thing.
I mean, you just need to be. Anyway, yeah, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, I agree, but I do.
But I still wanted to ask about it because I think that is also a very wholesome activity.
Yeah,
and very good for, you know, brain and body.
But birds can be wild. Like, some of their things, mad.
What? Tell me something really wild.
Is it a shrike that basically how it kills its prey is it like comes super fast, plucks the bird out the air, and then impales it on a spike, and then just comes back and eats it while it's dying a very slow and painful death.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Shall we leave the past there?
And on that note, goodbye.
And that really actually is the end. Thank you, Immy.
Thank you.
That was so amazing. I didn't know where we were going to go with it. It was so great. I think there may be another episode with you, because I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff to talk about here, especially the book stuff. But I really appreciate your time, and I hope everybody else enjoyed that.
Thank you.
What wonderful words from Immy. She was so honest and open, sharing her personal experiences, which I'm sure will be appreciated by so many of you. If you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, or send us a message with some feedback. If you want to join in with the community, follow us on Instagram @RestDaysCommunity, or go to our website restdayscommunity.com. See you next week.